What's up, guys? Good morning. It's been a whole week since the last bench press post. Man, that's gone quick. And today we are talking about shoulder press retraction and depression in the bench press and the importance thereof. Because if you don't, you're probably going to run into some issues like bicep tendonitis. You may feel discomfort around the front of your shoulder, AC joint strain, which is your acromioclavicular, which is like the bony part at the top of your shoulder. Often people call it the crown of the shoulder. And then also overwork and strain of the supra and or infraspinatus of the rotator cuffs, which they'll be working incredibly hard to stabilize the shoulder joint if it's not set back correctly. And why is this? It's because of the interaction between the humerus bone and the scapula, the shoulder blade that moves around your rib cage as part of the shoulder girdle. So imagine you're doing a bench press here. Regardless of your arch, ideally the bigger the arch the better. The more you can get your rib cage up, which is the later points in the series of videos that I'm going to be doing, the easier it is to maintain this scapular retraction and depression. But let's just say we've got a regular arch position. If my shoulder blade is forward, and it doesn't just come forward, it rotates round the rib cage. And if you imagine in here, I've got the head of my humerus. So my fist is going to represent the head of my humerus, and my hand's going to represent the flat surface, the glenoid fossa, I believe. I've probably butchered that name, as I usually do with these Latin expressions. Like the flat surface of the scapula, where the humerus sort of like orientates itself around and articulates in its joint. Imagine this is on the back of my shoulder, and this fist is my the head of my humerus. So as I'm here, that's in place, right? I've got a nice sort of like flat surface. So as I squeeze my shoulder blade back, the surface is like facing this way, and the head of the humerus is free to like kind of like rotate. If I protract, if I let my shoulder blade come forward, this angle is changing. And so the range that humerus has to rotate back is going to reduce, because the edges of that surface area of where the ball and socket joint articulates itself comes round. And so when it actually comes to it wanting to rotate backwards as you descend in the bench press, it runs out of space. And because it can't move, what happens is all of the like the stabilizers go absolutely crazy trying to make sure that this stays in its little socket rather than trying to click out of place to continue the action. And so that's where the strain's coming from. And the only other way that you can get around sort of like this joint not basically subluxing or like really irritating some of the bony processes around it is by further letting the shoulders come forward, or in bench press we call it hitching. So as you're bench pressing and you come down, if you haven't got to the chest yet and you find your shoulders are slipping up or starting to inwardly rotate, you are in a whole world of trouble, and you need to really sort of like make sure that that's not happening. Now, individual like mechanics, arm length, chest depth, ability to extend the spine are all going to have huge implications on this. So if you're a powerlifter and you're looking to build a big bench press, you need to do what is called the light touch method. I'm going to die on this hill. I don't believe in the sink method. I think the only way you're going to get that is if you are if you've got enough flesh to sink that bar into. Watch what happens when my shoulders, just even demonstrating that, as soon as I like go to get the bar to sink into my chest, you know, hypothetically, like the shoulders are going to hitch up. And so like you're going to run into shoulder problems. So the best thing you can do is learn to maximize your control of the shoulder blade with back activation. That's a whole nother conversation to be had. So that you can have a light touch method on the chest and you're in full control. It's harder, definitely. If you let that bar sink into your chest and you use that kind of like skeletal rebound function to get the bar moving again, it's great. I've seen people put like 20 kilos on the bench press, but at the expense of bruising your sternum, bruising your ribs, and messing up your shoulders and getting some of the aforementioned injuries and strains. So go with the light touch method. You want to barely touch the chest, almost like if there was a bit of paper on my chest, you're not going to make barely an impression on it. Or if you've got a hairy chest like me, you're going to be brushing the hairs. So you're always in full control. Great assistance exercise for that is Spoto press. Yeah, essentially, if your shoulder blades are not retracted and depressed, your humerus isn't going to be able to articulate itself inside the socket of the joint effectively, therefore going to be excessively pushing your humeral head past its functional range of motion for a fixed scapula, which is what it should be in a bench press. In a shoulder press, your scapula are free to move, so generally a shoulder press is fine. But when your shoulder blades have got to be fixed in a bench press against the bench, and it's just isolated humeral movement, then you're going to need to make sure that those shoulder blades are retracted, depressed, and your rib cage is up, and you've got sufficient leg drive to maintain that. That's going to be in another explanation. But essentially, what you're going to need to do is get up Google Images, get up or find some anatomy books, learn what the musculature is that controls those shoulder blades, get someone that is an experienced bench presser, a physiotherapist, sports therapist, osteopath, whatever, that really knows the human anatomy, and ask questions, find out what it is to get the lats, the lower traps, the rhomboids, all engaged to fix, hold, and maintain your shoulder blade position so that you can have a solid bench press. That was a lot of explanation, throwing a lot of info at you there for an explainer, and this is why I'm going to be doing a seminar in the future after I bench press 200 kilos, which is going to be really, really soon. And then I'll be able to show you that all in person. The best way to learn all that is in person. I can explain it till I'm blue in the face on a video. And what I'm saying right here, right now, is probably going to be making a lot of sense to a lot of you. And you're probably going to go away and hopefully look up some anatomy and sort of like get a little bit more clued up as to how you can make sure that this shoulder function is correct, so you can prevent yourself from getting hurt in the future. But the best way to do it is to learn in person. But one of the greatest assistance exercises for this, I've found, is a reverse banded bench press, where you or get on a slingshot, where you have to reverse the action when you're laying down in the bench press and you pull down and you learn what it is to actually feel the back muscles doing their job. Then you take the band away, and then you realise most people have quite a surprised face and they're like, oh God, I've never felt that before. So that's one of my favourite ways to teach people now. And I learnt that from, I first got taught the importance of shoulder blade retraction and depression by my brother-in-law, actually, Anthony Barnes, who's also a fantastic coach. And then I went to a seminar with the former GB powerlifting coach, which was strength coach Farncombe, and he basically taught me what a proper shoulder retraction was in the bench press, which really, really surprised me. Where he was doing a demo, put his hand under my back, and he was just like, yeah, you can squeeze those shoulder blades back further. I was just like, right, I'm already like surely I can't go any further. And he was just like, yeah, further. And then I went even further. He was just like, yeah, more. And I was like, I was shocked, but it was amazing because after that seminar, I'd maybe doubled the reps I was doing on my bench press inside 2 sessions, just because I'd got the hang of it, of holding what was actually correct shoulder blade retraction and depression. Not expecting you to get all this in like a short period of time, but just like learning here might be enough to help in the future. And then I was fortunate enough to have a client that got into equipped powerlifting, who's recently won the World Bench Press Championships, and her other coach, who is like national equipped powerlifting coach, he came down and I had a little go at the equipped stuff, and really highlighted how much you had to work to pull down. So I think it was one of the best ways to learn how to actually bench press properly with your back. Wow, I've been going for 10 minutes. Sorry for taking up your time there, but all important information. Hopefully I haven't wasted any of your time. Thank you for listening, and I hope you have a good day. And if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. And I wish you some bench press BBs. Thanks.